teachers around Berrien County. Today we're going to talk about risk factor interviewing. As I was putting together the data for our CNA, the needs assessment, I realized that we're all conducting our risk interviews differently, and it resulted in a lot of sort of ahas for me and sort of wonderings about our inconsistencies, our consistent inconsistencies. And although right now risk factor data is not the primary qualifier for GSRP, it is the primary qualifier in prioritization of applications. So what I really wanted was for us to talk about how we can be more consistent with our interviewing. And for that task, I have asked Kerenda Applebey, my colleague and the coordinator of the Parents as Teachers program, who oversees this kind of interviewing as part of her work with families, to give us some pointers about how to do better risk interviewing with our families. And at the end of the interview, at the end of Kerenda's discussion, we will also talk a little bit about how you use this information and where you can find this information. So take it away, Kerenda.
Thanks, Sharon. Okay, so in thinking about doing the risk interview, really the key thing, one of the key things to remember is that we are interviewing for educational risks. So there are a lot of factors that might make a child at risk for other things, but really you're trying to determine which risk factors are educationally important. And so, and when we talk with parents to get this information, we want this done in a way that builds a relationship with parents and makes them feel comfortable with you and your program and where their child will be. And so asking some of these questions can sometimes be difficult or touchy. So we try to put together some guidelines for that. So here's some things to just keep in mind. And many of these you probably are already doing. If you are, yay. If not, then talk it over in your team and figure out if there's a better way to do this. So one of the things is to try to hold the interview with parents in a place that's private, so that they can disclose stuff to you that isn't, you know, for the whole world to hear. I think most programs first determine income eligibility and then go to someplace private in your system where you can chat. Have whichever person on your staff you think would be the best at doing this and making your parents feel comfortable do the interview. It doesn't have to be the teacher, it could be the parapro or the other way around. You will kind of have a sense of who's most comfortable with this. Treat the interview as a conversation, not a checklist that needs to be completed. And so we've developed some materials to help you practice that, and we'll be spending more time in March in the training working on that. But you want to think of it as really a conversation. And then you want to fill out the form that you need to document those things, either as you go or at the end, but not just hand the form to the parents and have them check things off, because you won't have enough information really to document, and they don't really understand, and it's not a very relationship-based way to do it. So another thing that we put in all of this stuff that I'm saying, you don't need to take notes because it's written down and Sharon will share it with you, is sort of things that you want to make sure that you tell all parents at the beginning of the interview, to put them at ease and to make sure you're telling everyone the same thing and that they understand why you're asking them these personal questions. So those things are that we ask all families these questions. We're not picking on you. It's generally what we do with everybody. That everything that they share with us is held in the strictest confidence, that we only share that information by putting that data in a group. It's never shared with their name attached to anybody. And we use this information, it's helpful to us in many ways. One, it helps us to get to know you as a parent and your little one better, especially the things that are going well. And also the state requires that we prioritize enrollment into GSRP for the children who can benefit the most from it. And so we need to know what the challenges are for your child or your family, what you're facing, so that that can help us make those priority decisions. And Also to let them know that if there are any things that are challenging their family right now, that I can help, we can help them to find appropriate resources if they're interested in those. Also, you want to let them know that they only have to share what they're comfortable with. Please don't, let them know, don't share more than you want to. And that you're going to be asking questions kind of in 3 main categories to help you get to know their child better, to help you get to know them as a parent, and then to understand their family better. And so then what we put together was a document that we're calling interview questions and scoring for each category. So when you look at this document, we put the categories in an order that seems to flow in a conversation, but it's not hard and fast. So if the conversation leads you in a different order, go with the flow, and you'll come back to whatever you missed. In addition, for each of the risk categories, then in blue on the form are some suggested ways to ask parents for the information. These questions are offered as ideas. Please don't feel like you have to read them verbatim or ask all of them. Ask as many as you need to get the information to know how to score that risk. And then you already have, or then within each category also, it has the ratings. So what counts as at risk, and the scoring. And it clarifies some confusion that people have had, I think, that around which things count for which risks. Also, you want to, part of what will make this feel more like a conversation than a checklist is that you want to pay attention to how you transition from one question or one topic to the next. So in this document, there are several examples at the end of each category that can give you some words that obviously you'd fit for that family, but will give you some ideas for how to transition from one topic to the other. And then also, last but not least, you may already have a better way of asking it. If you do, great, write it down and bring it to the training so you can share your experience with other people. You might tweak these things and come up with an even better way. Really, you have to fit it to what fits you, not just read a script. And as you do that a few times, I think you'll find what flows well for you. I think that's it. And then we're going to talk in more detail about how that is for the people who get a chance to try it, and go over the other form in more detail at the training.
Thank you, Kerenda. As Kerenda mentioned, on March 20th at the GSRP in-service, we are going to offer a more in-depth look of how to conduct risk interviews. Really what we're trying to do is set up a structure for those of you that have an earlier roundup activity so that you feel like that you have some help in how to maybe improve your practice doing this interview. What we really would like for those of you that are doing the roundup activities in February is that would you read through the documents and really familiarize yourself, especially with what Kerenda talked about and the way you transition, and try to use some of those strategies. Look at what really is supposed to be documented as risk, and then give me a call or an email after your roundup activity and give us some feedback about the written documentation and the suggestions so that we can better frame the training for the rest of the group in March. And I guess in the end, what I'd really like to remind all of you is that you are all professionals. You work with families and you work with children, and we have the most confidence that you do know how to work and talk with parents. One of the pieces that we need to make certain we do, besides that eligibility requirement, is really to be able to steer parents to the kind of resources that they might need to better help their family with the areas of which they're struggling. So if you put that hat on as you do this risk interview, remember that part of what you're trying to figure out is what resources that you might be able to offer the parents that will ultimately help their child have a very successful year in our GSRP program. So I hope you're going to find this information helpful. You will find it on the GSRP website under recruitment, registration, and enrollment. and there will be the documents for you to review and use. So again, thank you very much. Appreciate it, and we will see you the next time.